Well, the question is not about why you get denied or why you get approved, right? A lot of folks apply for a Navy Fed credit card and they have no idea what they were doing. So in today's conversation, I really want to clarify a lot of things. Specifically, I want to talk to you about Navy Federal credit card pre-approval hacks that never fail. Even for bad credit, those hacks never fail. So if you are looking for pre-approval on a Navy Fed credit card, I want you to stick around till the end of today's conversation. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweaty Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to talk to you about Navy Federal credit card pre-approval hacks that never fail, even for bad credit. This is really important. And the first thing you need to talk about is income. So when you are seeking a Navy Fed credit card pre-approval, the first hack is income. This is important. What I'm trying to say here is that, people go through life and they have income increases, pay raises and whatnot, and they never take the time to inform Navy Fed. This is really important. The whole thing is, and I'm talking specifically to Stephen Tanner, who asked a question about this. And Stephen, you are in Boise, Idaho. We bless you, but this is important. If you have been a member for how many years? 13 years. This is fantastic. But the thing is, in 13 years, you are certainly making more money now than you were making a few years ago, right? Right? Yeah. So the thing here is you need to inform Navy Fed. So this has to be something that you have to do automatically and reflexively. I don't care. Like anytime, if you get a raise every year, you want to let them know every single year. Don't be shy about, you're trying to bother them or whatever. No, you want to let them know, hey, listen, I'm doing fantastic. Okay, so if I started my membership and I was making $25,000 and now I'm making $75,000, you really need to let them know. The reason you have to let them know is that they basically have to update their records. And this actually has an impact, a direct correlation on your debt to income ratio, which is quite essential when it comes to your FICO score, but also your Navy Fed internal score. See, those things are really important. So you want to report pay information to NFCU and make sure they update their systems, okay? And with a rise in income, you can also catch up on bills, okay? You can pay off debts. You can save for retirement. Retirement is very important because this is going to impact your net worth, again, which is a quintessential element when it comes to Navy Fed looking at you favorably, okay? And one thing is important you have to understand. When we talk about having a raise is just the beginning. Once they update their records, you're going to be in another category in their algorithmic calculation. In other words, their algorithm is going to look at you differently. And that's what we want. That's definitely what we want. The second hack you really have to implement if you are trying to get pre-approved is to have a low debt. It's very important. So you really want to ask for pre-approval, because sometimes people think, oh, well, for pre-approval, I just have to wait and they'll let me know. No, sometimes you have to be proactive. So if you have a situation of low debt, let's say you just paid off a huge debt, which means that your FICO score would have gone up, right? So you are in a better situation. So this is really important. You want to let them know, and you basically want to force, quote unquote, force the pre-approval. And this, you can only do it at a branch. Okay, this is important. What's that? Andrew Garcia? Yeah, Andrew. So your question is? Of course, you can actually let them know, if you, when we talk about low debt, we are speaking about all kinds of debts. Yeah, you are right. So we are talking about credit card balances. We are speaking about installment loans. We are talking about lines of credit. So anytime you have a conducive effect on your debt level, a favorable effect on your debt level, you really want to force the pre-approval process. Okay, if you're lucky, what will happen here is that Navy Fed themselves, they will send you a pre-approval link. So when you log into your dashboard, you will see a link that says, okay, you've been pre-approved for this card. It can be a cash rewards credit card. It can be the gold rewards credit card and whatnot. So this is really important, okay? So when we talk about low debt level is really important because remember, payment history accounts for 35% of your FICO score, and amounts owed accounts for what? 30%. So when you pay off debts, you have 30% of your FICO score that actually goes up. This is really important, okay? So we want to be in a situation where we're constantly paying down debt. Okay, son, what I'm trying to say here is that if you have a situation where you're trying to trigger pre-approval on any Navy Fed credit card, you want to pay off debt. And I'm not speaking about just paying off in one time. No, this can be continual. This can be gradual, okay? If you don't have the cash to pay off, let's say $1,000 or $2,000 today, that's fine. You want to start with $200, $300, just start somewhere. This is really important. The third hack, if you are trying to have a pre-approval, if you really are trying to have a pre-approval offer from Navy Fed, is to actually buttress your relationship. And this, we will continue to say it. A lot of folks, some people don't believe that. Some people don't see the correlation between credit and banking, but there is a strong correlation, sister. There is a strong correlation, father. There is a strong correlation, mother. There's a strong correlation, grandpa, grandma, the whole family. I want to emphasize that point. So when we talk about having a strong relationship with Navy Fed, it's not about just the diversity of account. Now, we have said on other shows that it's important to have at least a savings account and a checking account, but it's not about just the number of accounts you have. It's about the quality of the savings, the quality of deposits you have in those accounts, right? So if you are trying to have a serious pre-qualification offer from Navy Fed, you really want to actually, park some of your cash with them too. This is a win-win situation. Like, you cannot ask Navy Fed to actually pre-qualify you for a 10 grand gold rewards or cash rewards credit card for $10,000 if you are keeping, $50 here and there in your account. There has to be a strong correlation, a strong relationship between how much you are keeping and how much they are willing to give you. I'm not telling you that Navy Fed will basically give you an amount that is proportional to how much you're keeping in savings in their accounts. However, so what I'm trying to say, this is not a one-to-one correlation, but however, you gotta keep something if you want something. This is just pure logic, right? So when we talk about having let's say a strong relationship with Navy Fed, we are speaking about having checking, savings, CDs, okay, IRAs, and most importantly, direct deposit. Direct deposit is so important. Henry Turner, we are speaking to you because you asked the question. You are in Madison, Wisconsin. We love you. Your problem is no biggie. Do not despair. Your problem is no biggie. The problem, the fix that I can tell you right now is to have direct deposit. Okay, Henry Turner, if you're listening to me, I want you to set up right now the direct deposit into your Navy Fed account. That way, they will see cash coming in. They will see that you are working. They will see that you are working. They will see the frequency of your pay, and this will solve your problem. Do not worry. Okay, very important. So NFCU MPR is really important. The fourth hack, if you are trying to have a Navy Fed credit card pre-approval, is to think about your Navy Fed debt. See, earlier I was just talking to you in general when I said you want to maintain a low level of debt. This is debt that actually comes from your Navy Fed credit card and loans of credit, but also your other debts. But in this specific case, we want to focus on Navy Fed debt. Why is it important? This is really important, and this is the main reason is that your level of debt, Navy Fed debt, will have an impact on your Navy Fed internal score. Okay, and again, for those who believe that Navy Fed internal score is a one-time thing, we have said this before, we have busted that myth. It is not a one-time thing. Don't believe people telling you it is a one-time thing. So there is a continual importance in maintaining a high level of Navy Fed internal score. And the way you do this, you want to always keep your Navy Fed debt at a very low level. Okay, very important. What? Oh yeah. This was a question that Rose Boyd, I think she's an ecologist in San Jose, California. So Rose, if you're listening to me right now, you really want to pay attention to your Navy Fed debt. So what I'm talking about, you want to actually pre-apply, or you want to trigger the pre-approval process when your Navy Fed credit card and loan count is low. So you don't have a lot of credit cards. So ideally, you want to keep maximum 2 credit cards from Navy Fed. This is ideally, okay? And you want to have 1 loan here and there, but you don't want to be in a situation where you have a 2 or 3, you have a 3, let's say you have a 4 or 5 or 6 credit accounts from Navy Fed open. Not a good idea. Okay, so the ideal scenario is you got to look at right now. If you are, and this is for Rose Boyd, but also for all listeners right now, you want to go back and look at your Navy Fed credit cards, personal loans, personal line of credit, mortgages, VA loans, student loans, if you do have them. And what you do is you want to actually pay them down, or you want to maintain them at a low level before you pre-apply, before you trigger some pre-approval process. Very important. So credit card, boss. It's important how many credit cards you currently have. 3, 4, 2. You want to, the ideal is 1 to 2. Okay, very important. The next hack, and again, we are speaking about applying at a branch. We are speaking about Navy Fed credit card pre-approval hacks. And when we talk about applying at a branch, a lot of folks are surprised because they think that there is a dichotomy. There is a contradiction between applying at a branch and getting pre-approved. No, not at all. Not at all. The people who work at the branch are also working for Navy Fed, okay? So don't you believe for a second that only an algorithm can pre-approve you. No, you can go to the branch and start a conversation. This is really important, and this is a question that actually we heard the last time from Lisa McMillan. I think she is from Norfolk, Virginia. We love Norfolk, and just wanna bless all the residents here. And Lisa McMillan asked a question, a very important question, and she was asking, why should I apply for a branch? Why should I apply for a Navy Fed credit card or loan at a branch if I'm busy, if I'm working 3 jobs or 2 jobs or whatever? Well, and the answer is very simple. You know, my question to you is, how important is your Navy Fed credit card limit to you? Do you want to have peanuts? Do you want to have like a small ass credit limit, $500 or $1,000, or do you want to have a $10,000 or a $15,000 credit limit? Those are important questions. You know, I mean, if you are so busy, you can't take 1 hour out of your life to actually go to Navy Fed. That's not a good idea. So you really want to find the time, you know. And so what I'm trying to say here is that you want to go to a branch and you want to ask directly. You see, sometimes you have to force your destiny. A lot of folks are timid. A lot of folks are shy, and we want to stop that. I'm telling you, you want to stop that. So what you want to do is you want to go to a branch. Okay, you want to bring your personal paperwork. This is really important. So you want to ask a rep if there is a possibility of you being approved if you were to apply. Okay, and ask how long the whole process will take, because they'll let you know. And what I'm talking about, it doesn't take more than 30 minutes. Okay, but bring your personal paperwork. Very important. And you can also ask the question, if you were to apply with a hard pull, would you qualify also? So you're asking 2 questions. If you were to apply without a hard pull, how much would you get? And if you were to apply with a hard pull, would you qualify? See, those questions are very easy because those reps at branches, or you can do this over the phone too, but it's a lot easier if you go to a branch. They have access to data that is not immediately available if you apply online. Okay, so this is why it's important. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
I know when he
Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. I'm still having a conversation with you about Navy Federal credit card pre-approval hacks that will never fail, never fail. And the next hack I want to talk to you about, actually it's not a hack, but it's an important element that goes with all the hacks I have mentioned to you. It is your credit utilization ratio, okay? And we talk about this all the time, and people don't really pay attention to it, but it's important. You want to pre-apply when you have paid down a substantial part of your credit card balances. Here, I want to specifically talk about revolving credit. So if you have a credit card or you have lines of credit, you want to apply at that particular time. Why? Because if we go back to our definition of a FICO score, you understand that your CUR, your credit utilization ratio, has 30%. It accounts for 30% son, 30% daughter, 30% of your FICO score. So you really want to apply systematically and reflexively when you actually pay down your balances. Okay, and the thing is that a lot of folks are asking the question, how a high balance affect your credit score? Well, a high balance affects your credit score in several ways, but most importantly is the 30% that I just mentioned. And not only affecting your credit score, but also affects your Navy Federal internal score, which, as I said, is vital in improving your chances of getting credit card pre-approval offers. This is important. So I want you to see the direct correlation. I want you to see the direct line between those elements, okay? And one thing I want to say, and I just want to jump on a question that I'm seeing here that Michelle Brown from Aurora, Colorado, has asked us. Well, Michelle Brown, your question was about the kind of credit card you should pay down. Well, there is no, I mean, the FICO score, when it comes to a FICO score doesn't differentiate between your, cash rewards credit card, travel rewards credit card, APR, balance transfer credit card, whatever. A balance is a balance. So Michelle Brown, a balance is a balance. So when you pay down your balance, the credit bureau will just see that your balance is down relative to your initial limit. Okay, so this will have a positive effect on your FICO score. So we want to be in a situation where we are reflexively and we are automatically paying down our balances so that we can increase our chances of getting Navy Federal credit card pre-approval offers, okay, but also credit card pre-approval offers in general, not just from NFCU, but also from other financial institutions. So it is a win-win situation. So you are winning by being approved from Navy Fed, but also being approved from other financial institutions. Before I close today's conversation, I want to give you a few pro tips. And this is important, and this is something that a lot of folks are struggling with. And I also want to address the question that Peggy Rodriguez, she's an accountant in Virginia. And Peggy, your question was about how to pre-qualify for Navy Federal Credit Union in general. So you were asking a question about credit card, but also lines of credit and personal loans, right? That's a good question. I mean, this show is about credit card, but whatever I'm going to tell you, my advice will also apply to loans and the lines of credit. You have to understand that Navy Fed can send you a pre-approval offer in the mail. In other words, USPS mail. They can send you a pre-approval offer online, so you can see a link. As I said before, when you log into your account, you can see a link to if you haven't been pre-approved for a loan or lines of credit or credit card. You can receive a pre-approval offer at a branch if you go to a branch or over the phone. A lot of folks don't know this. People believe that a pre-approval offer can only be in the mail or online. No. So what I'm trying to say here is that, Peggy, if you are listening to me, you need to understand that all the things that I mentioned in today's show, maintaining low levels of debt, making sure that you are increasing your levels of deposit, making sure that you are having direct deposit into an NFCU account, making sure that you engage the people at a branch, right? You go to a branch with your paperwork. When I'm talking about paperwork, I'm speaking about your tax returns, for example. I'm talking about your bank statements, for example, from other institutions. I'm talking about your W-2, your pay stub and whatnot. So that will actually put you in a good category. But you have to understand, when we talk about pre-approval versus pre-qualification, those two terms are synonymous. Okay, the only difference, there is a distinct difference. This is only when we talk about car loans or mortgages. But otherwise, if we were speaking about in general, okay, Peggy, this is for you. When we talk about pre-qualification, credit card pre-qualification versus credit card pre-approval, it's basically the same. So don't you sweat about those terms, this terminology, okay? So one thing I want to say before closing today's conversation is when you get pre-qualified for a Navy Fed credit card, you want to go ahead and apply, because remember, you don't lose anything. This is a soft pull, so this will not have an effect on you. It's always great to apply so you have a clear idea of what kind of offers they have for you. Thank you so much for your attention to today's conversation. I was talking to you about Navy Federal credit card pre-approval hacks. And so I mentioned your income, the low debt, NFCU MPR, NFCU debt, your branch, your credit utilization ratio, and the pro tips. When I mention NFCU MPR, this means multi-product relationship. Thank you so much. I will see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.